It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live
the Bostonian versus the book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault.
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, Brigade? How are you? Happy Friday. Welcome into a new episode of the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on YouTube at Boston versus the book. That is the same handle on X Twitter. We are replayed on Sports Grid Television, late night, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific time, audio, wherever you guys get your audio podcast. It is Valentine's Day. It is Valentine's Day. I, in my career, have made a reputation, so much so that my own significant other asked me yesterday, is tomorrow the trashing of Valentine's Day show? I said, okay, I have a different idea. I have a different spin for this show today, for us today on Valentine's Day. So we'll get to that in the opening line. We have NBA basketball to talk about with the All-Star game and the NBA coming down harshly on two teams. We talked about it on Monday's program, on Tuesday's program. When would the NBA wake up and say, you know what? We're sick and tired of what's going on with the Jazz and the Pacers, and we need to do something. Well, the something was a fine, $500,000 to the Jazz, $100,000 to the Pacers. How much will that impact what they're doing? I think probably zero, to be quite honest. I don't think there'll be any real impact on this, but they're trying. The NBA is saying, don't do that again. You can't be throwing games, but that's what they're doing, and we'll see what the second half of the year looks like because they have shut down Jaren Jackson Jr. The Pacers don't want to bring anybody back, and they want to lose. Both teams want to lose as many games as possible. We have the Daytona 500 to get into today. That will happen on Sunday for the 68th time. The Great American Race will be run. We don't talk a ton of NASCAR here, but we will talk a little bit about it because according to Joey Logano, he says, say a prayer for all the drivers out there because it's going to be a wreck fest on Sunday, which means the race is going to be like 9 hours in length, but it also means the fans will get what they want because there are plenty of fans who are really excited to see cars flipping upside down and rolling around at Daytona. So it's not just going to be the big one. We might have multiple big wrecks coming up at Daytona. If we have time, we will jump into a little on the AT&T at the Pebble Beach. We'll get into that if we got time to get into, and then we'll talk prediction markets because Major League Baseball, well, has there ever been a bigger group of hypocrites than the owners and MLB when it comes to gaming and gambling? After telling everybody that, like, we're not into gambling, now they're very much into gambling. They told everybody, don't get into prediction markets. And then Rob Manfred's like, you know, those prediction market people, yeah, there's a lot of money there. So we might need to go ahead and like decide that we're going to take the prediction market money because there's too much of it out there. And so like we can cover by saying it's about integrity. So the integrity of the game, this is what we're worried about, right? So we can take all of the prediction market money as long as we claim that it's for integrity. So we'll do all that coming up here today on a Friday. It bums me out that it's on a Fight Song Friday. It bums me out that we don't have college football to talk about. It bums me out that we don't have football to talk about. It is, you know, it is what it is. I will be going on vacation next Friday. I'm headed to Florida for a couple of days next Friday. And so there won't be a show. There'll be a premiere show on YouTube, and it will replay on Sports Grid on Friday night, Saturday morning. But then there won't be a live show on Monday or Tuesday the following week. So a week from this Monday and Tuesday, there won't be BvB. We'll be off for a couple of days. A little recharge post-football, taking Madeline down to Florida. So looking forward to doing that. So just a heads up on the schedule, how that's going to go. Full 5 shows next week, but then no shows on Monday and Tuesday the following week. But I do want to talk about Valentine's Day, but I want to talk about Valentine's Day in my own way, because I will explain here in the opening line. I am not a very big supporter of Valentine's Day. In fact, I hate this day. I hate tomorrow. I think it's an absolute joke. I think it is a amateur hour. But the reason that it exists, the reason why we have Valentine's Day, it's our fault. Men, it's our fault. I'll explain in a second. Okay, so I have been on record that whatever day of the week it is for Valentine's Day, and I've been doing this bit since I was in Omaha, Nebraska. So we're talking about, like, I went to Omaha in 2004. So we're talking about 22 years of me railing on Valentine's Day to the point where people comment and come and ask me, like I mentioned, Amanda came and asked me last night, was like, is tomorrow your anti-Valentine's Day rant? And I said, yeah, but I'm doing it in a different way. And I'll explain here in just one second, because Valentine's Day ultimately is our fault. If I'm looking to point fingers, we are the reason why, as men, we are the reason why this day exists. This day should not exist. If we were better as creatures, this day would not exist. But this day exists, and then we are okay with this day existing because we know that we are not that good. We know that we do things that aren't that great. And there are 3 examples in the sports world that we have to talk about that show, to me, Valentine's Day will never go anywhere because, well, we're to blame. Just so we all understand, I am anti-Valentine's Day. I will always be anti-Valentine's Day. However, I participate like everybody else, okay? I contribute, Amanda, my daughter, like, I contribute to Valentine's Day. So I am a touch of a hypocrite that I will sit here and tell you that this day, Valentine's Day, is a farce, because as guys, we should be doing this consistently. We should be buying flowers consistently. We should be sending gifts consistently. We should be popping up and doing different special things for the women in our lives consistently, not just because February 14th rolls around and we go and try to find a reservation at the restaurant she loves, or go and try to find a gift that she likes because, well, Valentine's Day is here, so I'm supposed to do it. We've joked around about the male version of it, right? We've had some fun with that in non-PG and non-appropriate. My daughter's home today, so like, I got to be careful in certain things. So like, but we know what our version is, right? The idea that we have to be told on a given day to buy certain things that are overpriced and marked up is an insult to every male in America. It just is, okay? If you're buying something for your significant other today, flowers are more expensive, chocolate's more expensive, hotels are more expensive, restaurants are more expensive, everything is more expensive simply because of supply and demand, and you are up against it. If you don't do it, you're not a good person. You're not a good partner, right? That's always been my problem. So why does this day exist? This day exists because of us, because we screw up all the time. Because at some point, if you've been, and I'm 48 years old, so I can tell you this, as you get into a relationship with a female who may be getting older, okay, there is always, let's say you've been together for 10 years, right? 10, 15 years. There is always the worry, there's always the concern that you as a guy will go this route, that you will go and you will look to upgrade, okay? This is part of the problem. Because you've got a 70-year-old grandpa dating a 20-something-year-old and a 48-year-old dude who is out here with a 25-year-old. Tom Brady has 2 different baby mamas, and Tom Brady is now sitting here going straight for a 25-year-old influencer who used to date a teammate of his. Brady used to, Alex Earl, that's the young lady in that picture, who went to the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, and we're seeing canoodling, whatever you want to call what they're doing. They're hooking up is what TMZ is reporting for Tom Brady. They're hooking up. Okay. I get this. I do understand why Tom Brady's doing what he's doing, but Tom Brady has two different baby mamas. He's got a 17-year-old son who's in high school, and he's dating a 25-year-old. So as you get deeper in life, men who are of a certain economic stature sometimes have the opportunity to go and do what Brady and Belichick are doing. What do the females see in a 48-year-old? I don't know. I mean, if I had a 25-year-old friend who was dating a 48-year-old guy, I don't care if it was Tom Brady or not. It'd be like, what? Like, what exactly do you two talk about? Like, what do you have in common that you two want to talk about? Like, what do you think the dinner conversation is for Bill Belichick with Jordan Hudson? Like, what do you think they discuss? The current plight of the UK and what the Euro will look like in 5 years? Like, what do you think they're discussing? Like, how to stop cover 3 and what's the best offensive set to go up against a team that's overloading the power side? Like, what do you think they're talking about? So because men behave this way, women are always like, hey, what are you looking at? What are you interested in? Because if some 25-year-old girl, and she's a girl in a lot of ways, if she presents herself as an option, is your man going to say, the au pair looks kind of hot. I'm going to go upgrade to the au pair? Because that's what that looks like. Our fault. Valentine's Day exists because it's our fault. Number 2, for why this happens. Number 1, yeah. Women think we're always looking to upgrade. Number 2, we just do stupid things. Like, men just do stupid things. So let's talk about Stephon Diggs for a second. The biggest game of the year, the Super Bowl, okay? Stephon Diggs has children with like 7 different women. He decides to bring 2 of the women who have children by him to the Super Bowl. He decides to put one of them at the 50-yard line down close to the field so he can talk to that person. He is videotaped speaking to this young lady. He is seen saying, I love you to this woman, while Cardi B, who just had his kid in November, is in a suite in the same building. Like, this is the biggest game of the season. This is the first time that Stephon Diggs has ever been in a Super Bowl. This is the most important moment in Stephon Diggs' career, and he decides to bring absolute straight drama into it. Like, just, it got so bad that 50 Cent is out here writing Instagram posts about Stephon Diggs saying, can you imagine waking up this morning and you've done lost this B word and the Super Bowl? I would tell everybody, get away from me, have a drink, and go back to sleep. According to ET, they might not be done. That Stephon Diggs and Cardi B broke up at halftime of the Super Bowl, but their relationship might not be over. They do have a child together. Like, this is just dumb. As a guy, this is stupid. Why would you do that? Stephon Diggs was talking about proposing to Cardi B. They were talking about having a life together. She was on the field after the AFC Championship game. She was so ecstatic and so excited about Stephon Diggs making the Super Bowl for the first time. Everybody was like, wow, this is amazing. They're really tight. They're really together. And then 10 days later at a red carpet, she's asked, what would you say to Stephon Diggs as he goes into his first Super Bowl? And she looked at the reporter and, like, with disgust says, good luck. Good luck. That's it. Just like washing your hands completely of Stephon Diggs. That's an unforced error. Like, that is, you have created this environment yourself. It is not needed. It's not necessary. You could have had a quiet, calm Super Bowl. but you intentionally bring drama into your life. So we do this. This is us. Men do stupid things. We do dumb things. And so you need a day like Valentine's Day because it apologizes for all the stupid things that we have done in our relationships, in our lives. Because it's just dumb. I love you too, Goroff. You're the best. So number 3, okay? Number 3, I hate Valentine's Day, but women think we're going to upgrade. Number 2, men just do stupid things. And then number 1, we just don't know what the hell we're doing in life. Like, we really don't understand anything. Because at some point, at some level, the Norwegian skier decided in his brain that it was a good idea to go on national TV. In Norway, the Olympic Games in the Winter Games, they matter more than anything else. Like, these guys are rock stars in Norway. And this guy in the biathlon, this guy decided, I'm going to win a medal, and then I'm going to go and be interviewed, and I'm going to say the single stupidest thing a guy could ever say publicly in some way of either being cathartic, being open, or just deciding to rid myself of the guilt that came from sleeping and cheating on my girlfriend, who I called the love of my life. If you missed this story, you were under a rock. This guy decides to have a mental, emotional breakdown after he wins the bronze medal. And he admits on international television, he admits that he cheated on his girlfriend after they were together for 3 months. So they've been dating. 6 months ago, he meets the love of his life. And then 3 months later, because he met the love of his life, he then slipped and fell and slept with somebody else. And then this guy is so beside himself, he decides to go on Norwegian national television as he's the new superstar, the new everyone loves everything going on with this guy. And he decides to air her dirty laundry. He decides to ruin this girl's life as he's attempting to get her back. Because again, we are dumb. Like, men, we just do stupid things. Like, this is one of the stupidest moves you could ever make, because let's just say she takes you back. Like, let's just say that this young lady actually says, okay, I want to be with you. You did such a wonderful thing. You came out and you were so upset. She's now known as the girl that got cheated on by the biathlete who went and talked to the media about your relationship. She has no privacy anymore. She has no self-respect anymore. Like, why would you do this? At what level? I don't care how upset you are about what you did, how guilty you feel about what you did. Look, I'm 48. I watched Entourage. Like, we all had the funny thing of like, deny, right? Deny till you die, right? Until you're dead caught. And maybe she already knows, which makes it even worse. If the woman that he cheated on already knows you're a cheat and a scumbag because you went behind her back and slept with somebody else after calling her the love of your life, clearly she wasn't the love of your life, but you think she is. You then go and talk about this publicly and make it everyone's business. And now her privacy is gone because every tabloid in Europe wants to know who this woman is and how does she think about the guy going on national TV in your home country after winning a gold medal in the biggest moment of his career, of his life. He decides to throw a Hail Mary. Not that I love you, not that I want to be with you, not that I met this person 6 months ago and they changed everything about the way I saw the world. And unfortunately, we haven't been together recently, but I hope and I pray that she will find it in her heart to forgive me. And I hope that we can have a long life together. Like, just kind of like allude to it, like talk to her through the camera, talk just to her. If you want to do that public declaration, not I cheated on her 3 months ago. like completely outing and telling the world this young lady's business. So everyone now gets to find out, well, who did you sleep with? You were dating A and you slept with B. So who'd you sleep with? When did you sleep with her? It creates a story where there was no story. It creates controversy where there was no controversy. Like, what are you doing? Jimmy Football says, I guess she'll work remotely for the rest of her life. Like, I just don't understand how in the world this story came to be. That this guy, unprompted, nobody asked him about his girlfriend. Nobody asked him about anything with his personal life. Chooses in this moment to come up and say, I hope that she will forgive me for what I did. I hope that she would find it in her heart to forgive me for what I did, which is absolutely awful. Like, this isn't romantic. This isn't nice. This is mean. This is mean. What he's done is mean. It's cruel to put this girl on Front Street, to make this girl have to answer questions. And this is how our brains work as guys. This is what we do. We think we're doing something sweet. Like, we think that, like, this is like, oh, what a gesture in the biggest of moments. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to tell the world all about it. I'm going to tell everyone how it is. I'm going to tell everybody that, she just changed so much for me. I realized this woman in my life, and I can't live my whole life keeping it a secret from her. The only way to the goal is to tell her everything and put everything on the table. Like, what are you doing, man? You can't be this stupid. Do you want to know why Valentine's Day exists? Valentine's Day exists because of us, because of what we have done. We do this stuff as guys. We put ourselves in these positions. We do these things that are stupid because these things that we do creates the environment in which you must have a day that we're told as guys, you must honor the person in your life. You must acknowledge it in some form or fashion. And if you don't, you are not a good person. You are not a good husband. You are not a good boyfriend. You did not do what you were supposed to do. You did not, where everyone else, they were all acknowledged. All the other women and people in the world that have significant others, they all got something. So their loved one, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, their relationship, they believe that relationship has value. And thus you must show the world that you value the person you are with. And if you don't, you have now really done it. And we are to blame. We are the ones because we just do stupid things all the time. Amanda, see, that's what happens. Not even Valentine's Day will save him. Nope. Nothing will save him. So those are the worries, right? Why do we have Valentine's Day? It's only 3 examples. We have more than 3 examples, but number 1, number 2, and number 3. This is just the way that we are. I'm not saying we're perfect. We're not, but we do some stupid stuff. We really do. And this day is created because of the stupid things, the Stephon Diggs, the Tom Brady's, and whatever the Norwegian guy's name is, this Norwegian guy, whatever it is, however it is, this is the problem. I don't like tomorrow. I don't like today. I do participate. I do acknowledge. I do the things you're supposed to do. I know if I don't, I wish there was another version of it. I didn't know until yesterday when we were talking to Adam Bjorn. I didn't know that Valentine's Day existed globally. I thought Valentine's Day was just a US scam. I didn't realize that they created a global scam, that Valentine's Day is a global ripoff. That's brilliant. Like, that's just absolutely brilliant that it's not just one country that gets scammed by this. It's the whole darn world that gets completely scammed by this. But in 5 years, there will be like a 30 for 30 on that guy, on that Norwegian. People will want to know, what did he do? When did he do it? Who did he do it with? And then what did that poor girl think about when that poor girl had to sit here and realize that the guy that she had been dating decided to out all of her dirty laundry across the entire globe? Not something that you would expect, right? It's not something that you're like, oh, that was a good thing. Yeah, I remember that. That was a good moment in my life. I liked meeting that guy. You don't think she regrets every second now? So, moral of the story is don't be stupid. But unfortunately, it's kind of what we do. Let's talk about what happened last night. All right, what happened last night? The NBA, and there's a transition for you to go from hating on Valentine's Day into the NBA fining the Jazz and the Pacers for you, but that's what happened. The NBA has now determined that they are not going to be embarrassed any longer by the behavior of the Jazz and the Pacers, and they have decided to fine the Jazz $500,000, and they are fining the Pacers $100,000 for overtly tanking. Quote, overt behavior like this that prioritizes draft position over winning undermines the foundation. We're always going back to this integrity thing. The foundation of the NBA competition, and we will respond accordingly to any further actions that compromise the integrity of our games, said Commissioner Adam Silver. Additionally, we are working with our competition committee and board of governors to implement further measures to root out this type of conduct. You're not going to root out this type of conduct for as long as we award ping pong balls or more ping pong balls to a team that is the worst. Because in basketball, one player can change the course of your franchise for a decade. You can become a complete joke, and then you get LeBron James, and all of a sudden you're in the finals, right? Basketball is different than football. Basketball is different than even hockey. Like, you want to have a great superstar, and a great superstar matters, but basketball, because it's 5-on-5, you can change everything with one player. So you get that one player, teams are willing to do whatever they got to do, including lose games. But what happens when you're tanking and you lose? Or you win rather, because the Jazz went into the fourth quarter against the Miami Heat, the game in which that $500,000 fine came down. But the Jazz won that game. They benched all of their starters, but they won. And then after the game, Bam Adebayo said, we have to win games. When teams are trying to lose, we need to win those games. The owner of the Utah Jazz, Ryan Smith, said, agree to disagree. Also, we won the game in Miami and got fined. That makes sense. They got fined, but he's not wrong. The Utah Jazz won that game against the Miami Heat. They won that game. Now, did they try to lose? Yeah, they absolutely tried to lose. But at the end of the day, they did win that game. So, like, if you are accused of tanking, but you win, is it tanking? I don't know if that you can make that case that it actually is tanking if you win. So there's a lot of questionable things going on at the moment, kind of around the NBA and what to do about this. But the NBA is floating an idea that I think is really dumb. Do you have any interest in watching a tournament amongst the lottery teams to determine draft order? Think about this for just 1 second, okay? Let's put 4 teams, the 4 worst teams in the NBA, the teams that are just absolute dog crap, that don't belong anywhere near national TV. We're talking the Sacramento Kings, who are 12-44, the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 15-41, the Washington Wizards, who are 14-39, the Indiana Pacers, who are 15-40, right? Just absolute garbage teams. We want to put them into a tanking tournament, and the winner of that tournament gets the number 1 pick. Put yourself on that roster for 1 second. So say you're a 5-year pro in the NBA, and you're a stretch 4, and you decide, okay, guys, we're going to go and play and we're going to win this thing because maybe there's some financial incentive, like the winning roster gets $100,000, right? Why would you actually and actively try to allow your franchise to draft your replacement? At what level of idiocy does the league come in and say, these guys who are on the worst teams in the NBA, these guys who are only winning 20 games over the course of an 82 season, they're winning like 20, 22 games. They're just awful. But we're going to put them into a tournament and incentivize them to go and win the tournament. And if they win the tournament, their franchise gets the first pick in the draft. Why would you ever do that? Why would you, if you hate your teammates, why would you want more basketball? Like, if you're playing on a franchise that's embarrassing, why would you ever do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I know what Adam Silver is thinking. He has to create some type of deterrent for the number one pick. We have to give teams a reason. And so remember, this is how the play-in tournament started, right? The play-in tournament was a way of expanding the playoffs. And when you expand the playoffs, now you have more teams playing more games that are meaningful. And if you're like the 11th or 12th team in the East or the West, well, you get a chance to go and play and get into the postseason potentially and make playoff money and get playoff bonuses. So this is a chance to incentivize the mediocre teams to keep going. But it didn't, and it hasn't stopped tanking. It hasn't stopped teams like the Pacers and the Jazz from punting on seasons and shutting everybody down. I mean, again, we talked about it yesterday, but Jaren Jackson Jr. being shut down by the Jazz after they traded for him is a joke. Anthony Davis being shut down after the Wizards traded for him is laughable. Like, we know what they're doing. It's in plain sight. Like, the NBA is okay if you quiet tank. You can't do it publicly and loudly. You have to quietly tank, because quiet tanking has been going on for decades in the NBA. But if you do it after big, bold moves, right? You go get Triple J. You go to Memphis, you get this big superstar. And I'm like, why in the I remember watching Jaren Jackson Jr. in New Orleans play against the Grizzlies, and I'm like, that kid can ball. Like, he's awesome. I wanted him on Boston. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is an incredible talent. And so a team like the Jazz, who aren't going anywhere, they do a big swing at the trade deadline, and they acquired Jaren Jackson Jr. And I'm like, I love that move long term. And then like a week after they acquire him, he's like, oh, the knee injury. Oh, that damn knee. Got to shut him down. Can't do it. He can't do it. He's got to shut him down. Why? Look, that's the problem. It's blatant. Anthony Davis gets acquired by the Wizards. Anthony Davis has a ton of gas left in the tank. Anthony Davis is a tremendous talent. You've got real, a building block piece. Shut him down. Oh yeah. No. Down. That wrist, down. Done. Surgery, we're done. That's a problem. So how do you prevent tanking? I don't know how you prevent tanking. I'll be honest. Okay. I'm not somebody who can tell you exactly how you prevent tanking, how you stop teams from intentionally losing, given what you can get with the first pick in the draft. But the ping pong balls hasn't worked. Finding teams is not going to work. The only thing I can think of is by shortening the season. Like, that's the only real fix, I think, with the NBA is 82 games is too many games. They don't need to play 82 games. Let's play 70. Let's drop 12 games, and let's find a way to make this work. Let's find a way to have it be more competitive so more teams are involved. It's a sprint versus a marathon, although 70 games is still a lot. And try to find a way to keep teams thinking they might make the postseason, and thus they're more competitive. Because I'm going to tell you this, when Vegas and Seattle get teams coming up here in the next couple of months, because we are headed towards that announcement for both Seattle and Vegas to come on in, you're going to have two expansion teams that are probably going to suck. So teams that are bad coming into the league, watering down the talent already, G League players getting on rosters now, and you have less talent in the NBA. You have a thinner talent pool. That's not going to help the product. These players don't want to play 82 games. These guys don't want to play as much basketball as the league is asking them to play. When the NBA gets to the playoffs, the NBA is awesome. The NHL has always had incredible playoffs because it's a game of attrition when it comes to hockey. You take pucks off of your ankles, off of your foot. You get slashed across your wrist. You get cut with pucks in your face. Like, hockey players get beat to death, almost like literally, playing the sport over 82 games. So they take off time. They have to have different days and weeks and even months off to get healthy before they get to the postseason, just because of the nature of the sport. So you get to the playoffs and everyone gives it their all. Guys are diving at pucks. They're giving up their body. They're checking for real. They're doing all the little things you have to do to be a good hockey team, because you can't do that for 82 games. You won't survive. The NBA is turning into that, where, and it's not the same sport by any means, but these guys are only giving maximum effort when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to actual games that really matter and that the fans are watching and that everyone is paying attention to what they're doing on the court. That is a problem because of the money you're expecting fans to pay for game after game after game. We got 41 home games per team. That's a lot of games. And fans aren't feeling like the value is there to watch the NBA. And so they're finding other things to watch. I think the NBA thought, and I think maybe rightfully so, they thought that sports gambling was going to increase engagement and keep a younger generation of young man watching their games. The problem with that is that the prop market means we're watching 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th guys off the bench. We're watching guys way down because we're putting wagers on what these players are going to do. And so if you're watching the Knicks and you're watching guys on the bench who are coming off the bench, and you're watching, you put over 1.5 threes on specialists, you're watching these games and you're noticing things like, these guys don't care. These players don't care. These players aren't interested in anything. That's a really big problem. So the engagement has been great, but the spotlight on the fact that these superstars are taking time. LeBron James has missed 18 games this year. For the first time in LeBron James' career, he is not eligible for the All-NBA team because he's missed too many games. Like, I know LeBron's ancient, and I know he probably should retire, and I get all that, but like, people are paying big money. When LeBron and the Lakers show up, people are paying big money to go watch these games, and they're not playing. They're not out there. When Wembanyama shows up, when superstars show up to your team's building, you expect them to be there, and they're not. That's a huge problem. And even when they're out there, they're not giving maximum effort. They're just kind of sleepwalking through the game. That's why these fourth quarters are so crazy. The fourth quarters, and granted, I've been burned on them recently betting, but if you bet these NBA games and you watch the fourth quarter, it's unreal. Like, it's a 3-quarter game, and then they get to the fourth quarter, and it's like, yeah, I kind of care, but I don't really. And so the game gets all into like an all-star game. No one plays defense. No, they're jacking shots from all over the place. It's not the same product because the guys don't care. They don't care who wins, really. So that's the problem that the league now has, because the playoffs are what fans care about. The playoffs is what get guys paid and gets new contracts and all that stuff. But the fan bases are now, and they're still paying the ticket prices, they're getting frustrated. They're getting angry. The NBA Cup, that's an interesting point. The midseason tournament. I don't know. I don't hate the midseason tournament. I'll admit it. I don't hate it. There is some breaking news. It came out an hour ago, but we'll hit on it anyway. So some NBA breaking news. Thank you guys in the chat for throwing this up here. Chris Paul has announced his retirement from the NBA, according to Yahoo Sports. Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer in my mind. There are some people who would disagree on that, will push back on Chris Paul being a Hall of Famer. But Chris Paul, 21 seasons in the NBA. Chris Paul at 40 years old, 12-time All-Star, 11-time member of the All-NBA team, 9-time All-Defensive Team member, Rookie of the Year. he was waived by the Raptors on Friday after being traded to the Clippers on February the 4th. The Raptors did not require Chris Paul to report to the team, and they were looking to trade him at the deadline. Nobody took it. So Chris Paul has decided he's at peace with this decision, and he will step away from the game of basketball. Look, all of my interactions with Chris Paul have been tremendous. I was fortunate enough to be a part of his ping pong tournament here in Las Vegas. And it was called Topspin. Yeah, Topspin. And I was a broadcaster for it for a couple of years. I had a chance to, be in the planning stages of it. It went from a small ping pong tournament to like a really big one in a big ballroom. We kind of blew it up into like this big deal, and professional ping pong players came and be a part of it. I think I've got, hold on. It broke. Hold on. Don't do things on the air, Matt. That's unscripted. This is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but that is what I was a part of. And it was given this by Chris Paul for being a part of this, signed by Randy Couture and professional ping pong players. So I've been a very big fan of Chris Paul for a long time. And so him retiring at 40, I'm 48. He's a contemporary of mine. Hell of a career. He's a Hall of Famer to me. I've heard other people push back on that, saying that, his lack of a championship, and no, that was not Joe Madden. that was not Joe Madden. No, that was a professional. I forget her name. Hold on. That's Sue Yeon Lee is who that was. Professional ping pong player. She was the one in Entourage. So, but not that one in Entourage, not the one that Vince dated. She was, if you remember the scene in which Johnny Chase played up against, who was the actor? The Full House actor. You know the scene where Johnny goes to his gym? The guy goes over to his house. He beats Johnny. Johnny Drama then goes over to his gym. She was the coach of, I'm blanking. Do me a favor, chat. Tell me, Full House. John Stamos. There it is. I got it. He plays John Stamos in ping pong. Coach. Go watch the episode. Coach. Not the one that hooked up with Vince. Not that one. But John Stamos is who that was, who played. So she's from Entourage. She's not Joe Madden on that. But, it was an unbelievable 3 years. I think I did it. It was definitely 2 years, but it may have been 3 years that I did it with that. So it was an awesome experience. So, congratulations to Chris Paul. What a career. What an amazing, amazing career he had, and tip of the cap to him on that. All right. The Daytona 500 will be run on Sunday. The 68th Great American Race will go down. Joey Logano, who won one of the twin races last night, the duels, said after the race to say a prayer for Sunday, that we might be looking at a really insane race. A wreck fest might be on its way. Logano said, quote, "I think the whole field has probably learned that pushing each other is pretty sketchy. The Daytona 500 could be a total wreck fest. If you think about the duels, it's a heat race, and everyone's like, well, don't tear up your car, get what you can out of it, but don't crash. And we wrecked a lot of stuff. And that's everyone not racing for the Daytona 500. So say a prayer. It's going to be crazy." That quote has me rethinking betting Daytona. Like, I was all set to fire on a bunch of different races. We talked to Adam Bjorn yesterday, talked about a bunch of different drivers, and the pros are heavy on a couple of drivers. So I thought about trailing those drivers until I read that. And that scared the hell out of me. Like when a guy like Joey Logano says, look out, that the Daytona 500 already is bumper cars at times. We always have the big one. We always have a massive wreck that you're just praying that your driver is ahead of that wreck and happens behind him. if he's saying this publicly, if he's saying say a prayer for what's going to happen on Sunday, I don't know what to do about that. Like that I'm putting money down on that. Like I'd rather go to the craps table and just roll dice. Like I feel more confident on the odds that I'm going to win money playing craps than I am going ahead and betting on the Daytona 500 on one or two drivers. So I don't know what to make of that. That makes me very concerned, and that gives me a lot of hesitation. I kind of pull back on that and go, okay, how are we going to see this, and how are these drivers going to approach this version of the Daytona 500? If there is rain in the forecast, Sonic, if it's going to rain a bit, that makes it even worse. So if we're talking about slip and slide, look out. I disagree, Joel. Okay. We talked about this yesterday. Plate racing is always crazy. Okay. Talladega and Daytona, it's always crazy. But if these guys aren't drafting, if these guys are going to be hyper aggressive and not take their time and not partner up, if we're not talking about two or three drivers, either on the same team or from the same manufacturer getting together, and we're just going to go all for one and one for all type of thing, and we don't care about anyone else, and we're racing for our own team, that concerns me. It could just be a war of attrition, and whoever's left on the track winds up winning the race. So I'm all for the big one. Okay. Everybody wants to see one, and we always get it like in the last 10 laps. But if we're going to get this thing throughout the entire race, if we're getting big wreck after big wreck after big wreck, I don't know. Like that's a comment that I wasn't expecting out of Joey Logano to come out. I mean, he just won a duel. Chase Elliott won the other one, and he's coming out and saying, say a prayer. It's going to be crazy. Now, that could be good salesmanship. That could be Joey Logano selling the race, and I'm sure that Fox will appreciate that. Fox has the race, right? I think Fox has the race. Whoever's broadcasting the race is going to be happy about that, because I think people will tune in saying, well, Logano thinks it's going to be an absolute wreckfest, so let's see if that happens. And we're going to go ahead and jump in on that. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how it all plays out on Sunday. I will make a play, though. I do have one bet to make coming up here in just the picks in just 1 second. But before we do that, let's talk news of the industry. Major League Baseball, once again, back in the news. All right, news of the industry. Once again, and this happens, it has happened way too consistently. If you guys all remember, Major League Baseball was in court publicly standing up and saying that the legalization of sports gambling in America was going to ruin their sport. That it was going to, the NFL said it too, but it was Major League Baseball and it was the NFL, and they were for years in court arguing all the way to the Supreme Court that this is going to ruin our sport. So then once we saw the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, PASPA, once that was repealed by Congress, by the Supreme Court, we then saw Major League Baseball read the tea leaves and say, you know what? Let's put ads everywhere. Let's put ads on Fenway Park's Green Monster. Let's go and put it in, right in everyone's direct line of sight. Let's actually have our games air on a sports gambling sponsored network. That would be a really smart idea. Yeah, the FanDuel Sports Network. Let's do that. Okay, perfect. This is all 100% all on board, right? Nobody will remember that we were so anti. They've done the same thing with prediction markets. Prediction markets, they said this was awful. They warned that prediction markets were going to be a big problem, that the integrity of the game was going to be a problem with prediction markets. And, well, prediction markets should be something that we stay away from. In fact, they were in support, according to others' reports, that they were in support of the fact that the NFL did not allow a prediction market company to sponsor the Super Bowl, to advertise during the Super Bowl. They were not allowed. So you didn't see any ads for Polymarket or Kalshi during the Super Bowl because they were banned. Well, Major League Baseball now has completely flipped, and Major League Baseball is now predicting, if you will, to excuse the pun, that they will do business with prediction marketplaces. That it is time that might is just eliminate the word might. It is time to partner with prediction markets. Rob Manfred saying that Major League Baseball, again, using that word integrity, it's all about integrity. Talking to The Athletic, Rob Manfred said, quote, every situation we have had has been based on data that we receive from sports betting properties. That data kind of generically would be characterized as patterns, right? That pattern emerges. Sometimes it's betting when a particular player is involved. Sometimes it involves individuals that when it starts, you have no reason to believe it's not a player that's betting. It's some guy that is strange to us. So sometimes it takes time for those patterns to become clear. So we're going to go ahead and be a part of this because, quote, we thought it was important for the owners to be updated on why prediction markets are different than sports betting, why we might consider being in business with prediction markets in an effort to, quote, protect our integrity, there it is again, to get the kind of protections we need. The regulatory framework, very different. Obviously, state by state on the sports betting side, federal on the other. This is the one problem that I have had with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, that I've had for a long period of time. Because we know in the regulatory environment, state by state, we know who's in charge and we know who is investigating any type of improper behavior. Why? Because we've seen players in Major League Baseball get caught. We've seen players in the NBA get caught. We've seen recently sports books who aren't monitoring their prop betting markets look to be suspended for 5 days. They won't be able to operate in Ontario for 5 days. PointsBet will be suspended for 5 days because they do not monitor properly. Now that's Canada, and I'm not sure that will ever happen in America, but we know who's in charge when it comes to sports betting. We know whose responsibility it is to make sure that these things are not happening. With prediction markets, nobody knows. The CFTC is in charge of so many different things. Prediction markets is only one small little part of what they're supposed to be policing. They're supposed to be policing all sorts of different things when it comes to the futures and commodities and things that are happening across the entire country financially, in the financial world. We talk about prediction markets here with the CFTC because we care about that, but the grand scope of what the CFTC does is not just to police that marketplace. While a gaming commission, their job is to police gaming. That's it. We don't know. If you were, feeling like you got robbed or ripped off by a prediction marketplace, who do you call? Like seriously, who do you call? Because if you live in Illinois, if you live in Massachusetts, if you live in Ohio, if you live in Arizona, because you've seen it numerous times, the phone numbers to call for gaming. You can find it pretty quickly, and you would expect to get a human being on the other end of the line, and he would explain to you how to file a complaint with the CFTC, with the Gaming Control Board. And then there's a process in which it happens, and you get your day in court to come and present your evidence to say to gaming, this is what happened to me with this sports book. We talked about it after the Super Bowl with the prediction marketplaces, that you have to go and submit to the CFTC. After that, does anybody know what happens after you submit to the CFTC? I don't. I work in this business, and I don't. How many people are working to police to police prediction marketplaces in the sports world? How big is that regulatory? Because we're talking about a company in Kalshi today that has the same evaluation essentially as DraftKings. So the street is telling us that Kalshi is worth as much as DraftKings, which I don't really agree with, but I'm not a financial guy, so fine. But how does this work exactly? Because prediction markets are not sports gaming, are not sports betting markets. So if Major League Baseball, I bring all of this up because if Major League Baseball is going to partner with a prediction market under the guise of integrity, under the guise that this is to try to protect the game from improper things happening, who is policing these markets? Who do you go to? Who are you reporting? Because if a Jonte Porter situation happens in a prediction market, is that fundamentally 100% illegal? I'm serious, because by what we have heard following the Cardi B halftime conversation and what Tariq Mansour, the word salad that he has been spewing for the last 48 hours on whatever network will want to put him on to talk about whether or not insider trading is allowed on Kalshi. He is twisting what is every time he talks. So he's saying if there's non-public information, then that's not allowed. But who defines what is public and what is not? So what he said was, as long as a dancer did not sign an NDA with Apple Music, with Jay-Z essentially, with the guy producing the NFL halftime show, as long as there was not an NDA signed, that if a dancer saw a rehearsal and that rehearsal included a performance by Lady Gaga, and that dancer went and bet on Kalshi heavy because they knew that Gaga was going to perform, there's no problem with that. That is information that they are privy to, that the public is not privy to, but it is not insider information. Like, we are into the weeds here, folks. Like, we are into a category that I couldn't imagine if I was trying to police. And baseball wants to be a part of this. Major League Baseball wants to get into this type of crap. Why would you want to be a part of this? Why would you want to be involved in any of this? I wouldn't want to be a part of this. I don't care how much money is there. I love these people who are running around on the internet saying that prediction markets are going to kill casinos. Like, do you guys understand? For 58 consecutive months, going back to December of 2025, the state of Nevada has pulled down $1 billion, $1 billion. For 58 consecutive months, the state of Nevada has made $1 billion on gaming. You think that prediction markets are going to take down the state of Nevada? You want to say that sports gambling is really here? Like, if you want to say that sports gambling is Kalshi's going to kill sports betting in America. Okay, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there is. I mean, Nevada was at a 10-year low for handle, but they had one of the biggest holds in their history. Nevada made a ton of money on the Super Bowl, but the overall handle was pretty low compared to over the last 10 years. If you want to tell me that's because Kalshi took that away, okay, I can't argue that. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know where that money went. The tourism dollar here in Nevada is down. Canada not coming to Nevada, not by any means. Canadians are giving us the middle finger, and they want no part of this country at the moment. So there's a whole boycott going on. Vegas is trying, and I give a ton of credit to Circa and Derek Stevens for basically rolling out the red carpet to anybody who's Canadian, saying, hey, we're taking care of you. Whatever you want, we want you back here in Nevada. So what can we do to help incentivize you to come vacation again in Nevada? Because Canadians were a huge part of what our overall ecosystem looked like financially. So we're trying to get them back. But so why is the handle off? I don't know. But gaming is not going to be impacted by prediction markets. Okay? Let's just establish this. You are not touching penny slots. You are not touching gambling, table games. It's not, no one comes to Nevada. No one walks into a casino and they're like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go bet on whether or not Cardi B is going to show up to the halftime show. That's way more fun than rolling dice. That's way more fun than playing Pai Gow. That's way more fun than playing a Buffalo slot. Like, what are we talking about? It's complete garbage. All these bots, all these Kalshi bought and sold prediction market bots on Twitter are ridiculous. And so no one's talking reality. But I just Major League Baseball, my only advice is be careful. Like, just getting in bed with prediction markets. I don't hate prediction markets. I don't. It's the companies at the top of the ecosystem for prediction markets that make me very concerned. I don't like the CFTC. I'll tell you right now, I don't like the new head of the CFTC. I don't like the CFTC. It very much is an organization that constantly pees on me and tell me it's raining. So I'm not interested in that. Maybe in the future, I'll change my tune. But right now, I'm not down with the CFTC. Not at all. I don't mind prediction markets. I think there could be a cool place for prediction markets. But I don't think they should be able, in sports betting, I don't think to be able to supersede state law. And that's always been my take, and I still will maintain that. And I still will maintain that folks doing business in the state of Nevada, when Nevada is clearly telling certain, these companies that, hey, you shouldn't be operating here in the state. And then they come in and take over the biggest intersection on the strip, and they plaster their Super Bowl odds all over the place. And they hire a bunch of Vegas influencers to help amplify that advertising. I'm going to side with Derek Stevens. I'm going to side with the people here, with the Wynn, and I'm going to side with the Bellagio, and I'm going to side with the people that live here, that work here, that pay taxes here in Las Vegas, in Nevada. And if you're not paying taxes here and you're operating here and you're taking sports bets here, I'm going to have a problem with that. And I think that that's not appropriate. If you want to come here and get licensed and pay taxes, awesome. Let's do it. Right. I think that's great. I love the way Alex Kane and Sport Trade. I love what they are doing. I love their approach. I love their public facing full throat endorsement of sports gambling and prediction markets, saying they are the same thing. And Alex Kane is running an unbelievable company. They have applied to the CFTC. I would implore the CFTC to fast track Alex Kane and Sport Trade's application to make them a legalized prediction market in America as soon as possible. Because those are guys who understand the rules and they're doing it the right way. But they got to wait 8 months. It's going to be 8-9 months before Sport Trade is given a license to operate a prediction marketplace in America. That sucks. But I'm pulling for Alex Kane and pulling for Sport Trade to get that approved as fast as possible. If you guys are watching live, more to come with picks coming in bonus time. If you are with us on the replay for Sports Grid TV, thank you for being here. Have a phenomenal weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday to recap the Daytona 500, the AT&T Pebble Beach, and everything happening at the NBA All-Star Game on Monday. For you guys who are live, bonus time now. Not down with the CFTC. That's kind of funny. Somebody who's more talented than me should do that, right? Yeah, you know me. That's where Dave would rap OPP, right? He would come in. I'm never going to rap on this show, guys. Sorry. That will not be my that will not be something that I will do anytime soon. Let's make some bets. Just the picks being brought to you by Betting Pros' Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. Download the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet on the Betting Pros app or go to bettingpros.com/props to check out all the algorithm-based picks that they can present to you for the NBA. Second half of the NBA starting next week. Baseball around the corner with spring training opening up in a couple of weeks down in Arizona and in Florida. Bets for today. I'm taking Team Canada on the puck line, but I'm going to lay the same amount I laid yesterday. Canada won their game 5-0. Over the Czech Republic, and they play Team Switzerland. The Golden Knights goaltender is going to be in net for Switzerland. It looks like and this game starts here in like an hour and a half. Former Golden Knights goaltender Logan Thompson, current Washington Capitals goaltender, who's been phenomenal. He'll be in net for Team Canada. That's pissing off a lot of people. They think Jordan Binnington should be the goaltender after what he did at the Four Nations. They think it's disrespectful that he hasn't been the guy for Team Canada, but I don't really care, to be quite honest. Team Canada is way better, way more loaded than Switzerland, and I'll lay the 2.5 goals. I do think the game goes over. I think Switzerland's going to score 1 or 2 goals here, but I like Team Canada. I'll lay the 2.5. 4-1 final, 5-1 final, somewhere in that range here. The total is 6.5, so maybe it's a 5-2 or a 6-3 final in some form or fashion, but I'll lay it with Team Canada at -2.5. Speaking of the Daytona 500, I'm going to lay the +190 on Team Ford to win. Now, the last 2 Daytona 500s, William Byron and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., both Chevrolets, both winning. But Austin Cedric for Team Ford and Michael McDowell for Team Ford the 2 previous years. Ford, over the last 10 years, has won 4 Daytona 500s, and Joey Logano's performance in the duels last night made me go, yeah, I'll take a flyer on this at plus 190 on Ford to win this thing. I like the drivers that we get with Team Ford, and I know that you could say some of the better, more popular drivers are on Chevrolet, but I like the price of Team Ford at plus 190 to come in for the Daytona 500. I think it's going to be a fun race to watch. This is a race I bet every year. I don't bet much, but this manufacturer prop, there's only 3, Chevy, Ford, Toyota. So it's, the odds are never really all that correct in my mind. I like Ford to win the Daytona 500 at plus 190. And then to the 3-point shootout on Saturday night, tomorrow night. I like Dame to win his 3rd 3-point shootout at plus 450. Damian Lillard could join Larry Bird. There's one, I forget who else. It's Larry Bird and somebody else who have won 3 NBA 3-point shootout titles. Dame's got 2. If he wins this, he gets 3. And for old timers who are playing in LA, playing in this environment, I think this is a huge opportunity for Damian Lillard here in the 3-point shootout at plus 450. Why the hell not? I'll throw a flyer. He's like the 2nd or 3rd option at most books to win the 3-point shootout coming up tomorrow. So we're going Damian Lillard to win the 3-point shootout coming up here for the NBA 3-point shootout. Any chance of a Valentine's Day parlay for tomorrow? Let me see. Let me look at some things here. Okay. So does Sacred Heart play tomorrow? Let's see if they do. They play against, oh no, they play today. Shit. So they don't play it. So Sacred Heart plays tonight. So maybe you have to include it now. So you'd have to do Sacred Heart. They are 2.5-point home dogs to the Peacocks of St. Peter's. There's a Valentine. Who's the guy in the league office that scheduled that game? We're going the Peacocks against the Sacred Heart Pioneers. Somebody's got a sense of humor. The Hearts. That's right. We get the Hearts from the Scottish League. I tried to go to a game of the Hearts when we were in Scotland. We tried to go to watch the Hearts. We tried to do that where there wasn't a game. When we were there, the Hearts weren't playing. So you do have the Hearts from the Scottish League. Are they playing? Jimmy Football, look up their schedule. Is the Scottish Premier League even playing right now? Or the Scottish League? Are they even playing right now? It's February. Do they play soccer in February in Scotland? I don't know. I figure it'd be flipping cold there, man. It'd be freezing to play soccer right now. So I don't think they're playing. But Sacred Heart is playing. So if you took Sacred Heart plus the points, you take Sacred Heart plus 2.5. They're home dogs. So you can, all right, why not? Let's do this. It's Friday. Let's have some fun here. Ish just gave me an idea. Let's build a parlay here for us. So we go Sacred Heart plus 2.5. I got to find where is Sacred Heart here for a Valentine's Day parlay. That's for tomorrow. I want today, right? Where's tonight for Sacred Heart? Oh, I can't. Darn it. I always forget that. Hold on. Because FanDuel defaults to New Jersey. When you pull up FanDuel, it defaults to Jersey, and St. Peter's is in New Jersey, and you can't bet college sports in New Jersey. So that's what I always get kicked out on that. So you can't look at that. Does DraftKings do the same thing? They might, because I'm not geo-targeted because I can't bet on DraftKings or FanDuel here. So I might need to pull up. Okay, hold on. I'll pull up Circa. Hold on, let's pull up the Circa. Let's pull the Circa app up to see. Sorry if this is boring, but hold on. We'll build a Circa Sports parlay on this. Where is Sacred Heart? Okay, hold on. Okay, there it is. Okay, plus 2.5 Sacred Heart for college basketball. So what else? What else are we doing here? They're playing Rangers FC on Sunday. They're playing Rangers FC on Sunday. Can I bet? Is there pro soccer that I can bet on soccer Oh, they don't have the Scottish Premier League at Circa. They have France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Mexico, and they don't have who has Scotland? Anybody have Scotland? Have this anybody that crazy that goes down that rabbit hole to be able to bet Scottish soccer in America? Let's see. Oh, I might be able to on DraftKings. Hold on. Let's see. Scotland Premiership. There we go. There it is. The Hearts. There's the Hearts. Okay, so you could do this. You could bet the Hearts to win. They're at home. They're plus 270 for the money line. They have a three-way market for this. So big dogs. The Hearts are big dogs. So it would be Hearts money line. Then you take, obviously, I can't bet it at Circa, but then you take, so let's just build it like that. So we'll build Hearts money line plus 2.5 for Sacred Heart. And then we need a third leg of this. We need a third leg of some sort for your Valentine's Day parlay. See what you did for us here, Ish? You got us all off on a tangent. So Hearts money line plus 270 in the three-way market. Plus 2.5 for Sacred Heart tonight. And then who's the third? Who's our third? What's our third bet on this coming up? Olympic hockey. I don't know. That's tough, right? Because we've got Latvia, Sweden, Italy, Finland, Denmark against Team USA. Maybe we just go with the heart for it's America. We just play it with America. Let's just do that. Let's just take the Americans. We'll lay the 3.5 goals with Team USA. So we'll do that. Oh my gosh. If you just do a Hearts money line and Team USA puck line bet, that's a plus 544 parlay. So if you add on another leg of that, that's pretty good. Add on a third leg of that, and there you go. So Sacred Heart plus the points, Hearts money line in the Scottish Cup, Scottish League for soccer, and take Team USA. Who they should smoke, laying 3.5 goals for Team USA coming up tomorrow. So that's going to be like a plus 800 parlay if you want to do that. So best of luck to you coming up on that. Favorite thing about today. Favorite thing about today for me. One, Amanda being in the chat was awesome. That was new. I kind of teased her recently because she had asked me a question a couple days ago. I think she's probably gone by now, but she asked me, she said, "Do you still do favorite thing about today?" And I was like, "Are you serious? Like you're asking me that question?" She's like, "Yeah, I haven't watched the show in a while." I was like, "How do you not know that if I didn't do favorite thing about today, don't you think I would have told you that like, hey, I've made like a fundamental change to the show?" And so her being in the chat, that was a little bit of a guilt thing for me, but also because it was Valentine's Day. She is the one that asked me yesterday and said, "Is tomorrow your anti-Valentine's Day rant?" And I said, it's not really an anti-Valentine's Day rant this time, but yes, tomorrow is the anti-Valentine's Day rant on the show. Yes, I know it's tomorrow. But I'm on the air tomorrow. We don't do shows on Saturday. So today basically is Valentine's Day for us. It's the 13th, right? So, and I've often said that, like, I like participating for Valentine's Day on the 13th and then not doing it on the 14th as being like a rebel, being like, I'm going to do it before anyone else. So, but favorite thing about today is that one, Amanda being in the chat, that was awesome. And then two, I think it's really funny that I now, after so many years of this and being as consistent as I have been in my life, being married and not married, single and not single, where I still have the same opinion of this. And people used to tell me that you're just a bitter single guy. You're just angry at the world. I remember I was told this when I started these rants. I started these rants in Huntsville, Alabama. I believe, yeah, it was Huntsville in 2000. I think it was 2000. I said Omaha earlier. I think it was 2002 when I started this. So it's been almost 25 years of every Valentine's Day of me bringing this up and railroading against this. Clearly, I have lost. Clearly, I'll never win this argument. And clearly, I participate. So I am equally part of the same game as everybody else. It doesn't mean I'm not going to consistently point out the hypocrisy and ridiculousness of it. But like I said in the opening line, it's our own damn fault for this existing because we do dumb things as guys. Have a phenomenal weekend. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Have fun with Valentine's Day. Enjoy it, guys. Hopefully it goes well for you. If you have something big planned, hopefully everything goes off the way that you want it to. Enjoy the overpriced chocolates and paying for flowers that will be half price tomorrow or in 2 days on the 15th and beyond. But Monday, we're back to recap the Daytona 500, the AT&T, the NBA All-Star Weekend, and more as we head on into solid college basketball. Next week will be a big week for college basketball and the UFC. We'll get into that coming up next week as well here for BvB. Talk to you Monday for a Monday's episode of the Bostonian versus the Book, presented by BetCris Arizona.